No one's throwing hat trick. Let's see. You should be back now. Sorry, I was waiting for the ad break to finish, and I was reading some stuff while waiting for it, so I got a little distracted. My bad. Hi everybody, happy Friday. I hope the day was restful and productive for y'all. I would say for me, yes. Today's been good. Alright, let's go. Hello there. Got a new phone. The battery in my old one's getting uncomfortably puffy. Say no more. Say no more. But hi, Stubby. Good to see you. I did also, as a note, I did re-download Tekken 8. Partially because I just wanted to really play House of Senate again. But I don't know if we'll stream it. Because Tekken fan base online can be a little much, is what I'm going to say. So I don't know if I'm up for dealing with that energy. Y'all know I don't like it when people whine a lot in fighting game in most game communities, but definitely not fighting games. And it looks like the tech community is basically like uh, the community is basically never satisfied. Um, it seems like they're never really satisfied with any of that. So rather than inviting that energy even like remotely close to where we're at, I would rather not do that. I'm glad that you got me battery stubby. For my part, today was pretty productive. I stopped by the grocery store, which is why we're a little bit later, which was always a little later today. That, and I just needed a moment to just kind of sit down and decompress after not anything bad, just office stuff. Sometimes I just need a little bit of time to sit down and like stare into the middle distance after I do stuff. But groceries are got. I want to play some Guilty Gear, so let's rock. Um, I've been doing some more work with Jam, separate from. I've been doing some more work with Jam offline, getting sets. Otherwise, getting sets, popping in here and there to meet new people, to do that kind of stuff. Things have been going pretty good. Shoot. I gotta remember to call my cousin because it's his birthday today. I'm sitting here thinking, like, I know there's something I need to remember to do, and that kind of just hit me over the head, like, kind of hit me over the head real hard. I need to, that I need to call him, but I'll do that after stream. Streaming mode. I know you can't see the game. I just remembered which window that we're capturing. We should be good now. My bad, y'all. Sometimes I forget these things. Dang, 5P is much shorter than I think it is. Mostly because getting punished after this is most after Far Slash here. It's mostly because, as you see, it's -6 on it, right? And at first you might be like, that's bad. For people who don't remember our discussion about frame data before, -6 basically means that Jam recovers and starts moving 6 frames after the opponent does. However, the main reason why Thank you so much for the raid, Jasmine. Deeply appreciate it. I have to turn up that sound now because it looks like the game volume for Tribe is pretty loud. Hi everybody, Jasmine stream. Welcome on in. How's ZTD going? Hopefully well. So yeah, the thing I was saying right before Jasmine rated was that like even though Power Slash is like -6 on hit, that's because the expectation is that if you Gatling it into other buttons, um, especially on like a slight delay, the idea is that you can catch people mashing and potentially blow them up with other stuff. Good fun. We finished it. Excellent. Take a go. Can I have fun? Yep. Thank you for dropping off your community with me. Appreciate it. A little bit on it. One of the major things with Jam's combo theory that I've been picking up off stream is mostly that the 2H here, as a launcher, the thing to keep in mind is that the launch is not as high as this, right? Like if you do close slash into 6H, the launch is not super high. Or rather, if you do close slash to 6H, the launcher is much higher. If you do 2H into you do 2H into Ryutsu. However, it doesn't mean that you can't do. It doesn't mean that you can't do combos out of it. You just have to be a little bit more careful. 2K here is used as the linker. So if you do, for example, if you do close slash into 6H and you get that bounce, it is generally better to use if it's not like a counter hit, for example. So doing it twice is an option, but like when you're that close to the corner, if you have carded Ryujin, for example, carded Ryujin is better. Case in point, if you do like get the wall break and damage, right? If you get it from here, I messed it up. If you do same thing, right? And then the damage is maybe slightly better. Because that says 213 right there. Whereas if you do yeah, the damage is better by like 2 points, ideally, if you can get that. So like a lot of Jam's combo theory in this game, when it comes to like launches and stuff, is mostly like, alright, depending on which launch you get, you have to kind of like pick your ender a little bit more careful. So like 2H in most circumstances does not launch super high. So if you're gonna convert off of it, right, you usually want to stick to because, like, as you see, 2P does hit, out of that even. 5P also might, but it's fast enough. Yeah, 5P does. But as you see, the knockback on 5P knocks them too far away for another 6H. But yeah, generally speaking, in certain circumstances, usually when you get 2H as a launch and it's not a counter hit, you want 2K as your connecting force. Otherwise, sorry, I'm just reading something somewhere else and thinking about how I feel about a specific opinion. I don't necessarily think it's a bad opinion. I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about it 100% yet, so I'm going to think about it a little bit. I realized that I could just be being very defensive about the fact that it's related to something I like, so I'm like, it could just be me. I could be the one that's shipping. Hey, Shiny. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time just working on this thing a little bit because I've been dropping it a lot lately, and I would like to drop it less. Oh, I'm out of meter, that's what's happening. Well, like, why is it coming out? Like, you know, hi, Lambert. Find that I'm doing it slower on the right side. The important thing is that it's actually coming out. It means that I'm actually getting my hand used to the motions. This side, I can do it much more consistently. What I'm talking about here is that, so the thing that I learned, and I haven't done it a lot in like a real match, is, so Jam, during the startup, not during the startup, sorry, during the cancelable frames of box shoot, she has the ability to cancel into both of her overdrives. This is more useful for Shokaku because it allows you to extend the range of the move by like a lot. Like it basically becomes if you're able to do it consistently, not quite a full screen threat, but very much a very long range. But that does require like actually getting the input correct during the cancel window. And while it's easy to and it's very easy to kind of like mash it and miss corners, especially for me. So I'm like, but yeah. I would say that yeah, I'm doing okay, all things considered. Today's been pretty good. Friday's going alright, trying to rest to this Blu-ray drive about to take. Good luck! One of the things I did when I built the Aerial, the computer that I'm gaming off of, was to make sure I get like an optical drive. I know that they are relatively on the way up for a lot of people, but like IDK, I'm the kind of person who's just like, you never know. You always, I can't say that I have been as diligent as I would like about moving back to mostly physical media, but it always helps to have that kind of thing in your back pocket.
We've got a newcomer. Are you ready?
Yes, I want to match them. Let me play them. What are you doing? We've got a newcomer. Are you ready? Here comes Dave. I haven't played that in a while.
Duel 1. Let's rock.
So, Venom's main thing, I think I said this the last time I happened to fight on stream, is that Venom's whole thing is, billiards. So certain moves that he uses will place billiards down. And then he can hit them around with other moves and so on and so forth. Very effective way of him doing space control, basically. And very scary, very oppressive. Good 6 feet. Trying to force a burst out of him to see if I can force the burst and bait it, or otherwise take advantage of it. But they didn't fall for it.
Duel 1. Let's rock.
Hey, back runner. Yep. Good. I did also start big claws, so that's alright. Y'all are here now, and that's the important part. Yeah, I got caught by that. So yeah, that's Venom's main thing. Provided that you are careful about where you place like your billiard balls and everything. Ooh. That scaling is really bad. You gotta fall out. Not good yet. Yep. Stinger raid got me. So yeah.
私のゲームだ。
So yeah, basically Venom's whole thing is that once he gets balls out, trying to mash out of certain parts of his pressure becomes generally not a good idea. When did they add Venom? Season 3. I did this one in order to force the wall break. Made it.
Duel 2. Let's rock.
The clip of justice. How many members of the cast from Missing Link X aren't yet in Strive? Zappa, but Zappa's probably not coming back because plot-wise, he he's done. Not in like a bad way, but he's done from like a story perspective, insofar as like
Got a newcomer.
there's no. It would be an undoing of where his plot has gone to this point to have him come back. To answer your question properly, Cliff and Justice are probably not coming back either, I think. Order Soul is the only remaining character from at least Guilty Gear X2's cast as of Accent Core plus R, who Order Soul is the only one who, like, there's, aside from Zappa and Order Soul are like the only two who don't have any scheduled reappearances from what I would either surmise or otherwise know. Zappa is very unlikely. Order Soul is also unlikely. We have, at the very least, we know from some of the other stuff from one of Artist Works' P2.0 streams that we know from some of the pre-2.0 streams that from one of the streams that came pre-2.0, we know that with the current accessory system that they have going on, and costumes that they're going to be bringing in, that we're going to get Order Soul as a costume for regular Soul, but it won't change its move list in any significant way, obviously. So I don't think we're going to get Order Soul back. I don't think we're going to get Zappa. Again, mostly because, like, I know that we meme a lot about, plot in fighting games and things like that. But I would say that at least as far as individual character stories, Guilty Gear, especially with Strive, with XR to a certain degree, but also with Strive, they seem to sort of be aiming for a thing where as characters change, they try not to let characters regress.
Jam versus champion. Duel 1. Let's rock.
Yeah, like, the way that I put it is that Guilty Gear's stories have always been about self-determination. Guilty Gear stories have always been about self-determination, to a large degree, and that become more evident the longer the franchise has gone on and gotten more consistently translated in terms of like certain aspects of its lore. Self-determination, what it means to be human, and a lot of other very like humanistic themes have kind of been at the core of it for a while, and it's just that like now that we're having it translated in ways that help reflect that, it's easier to tell, it's easier to see.
Mankind knew that
The way that
they
I
could not
put it.
change society. So instead of reflecting on themselves,
Because like with the like obviously with the early games, it was always there. But mostly as we've been getting, as some of the things that have been like background notes are kind of like coming up and forward more, right?
versus
We get there.
duel. Let's rock.
Hey son. So like, how does Jam feel like you've had a bit to really play her? I like her a lot. Extremely fun character. Oh yeah, the story stuff. I guess that part. Like, I think a lot in particular about how Bridget's storyline has resolved now, with the way that, like, especially for Shy in particular, kind of like how they approached it. I can't speak for a lot of how they talked about her in the Japanese text in the older games. In the older games, in English at least, it was very, it was one of those things where I can't say for certain how much they really meant to be seriously gender transgressive in that sense with Bridget. They always meant it for Testament, but Testament in particular, has always been, at least according to what Daisuke Ishiwatari has said, Testament was always meant to be non-binary. It's just that, like, a lot of, or at least that their sort of conception of gender was not meant to be, like, as not how much, I'm trying to frame it the right way. Essentially speaking, the sort of undertone of Testament being non-binary is more evident in Japanese in a lot of different ways. In the older games specifically, that didn't quite come through when it was done in English, because Testament, especially in the older games, at least from what can be sort of like assumed from the way the localizers looked at them, they sort of assumed Testament was masked based on just very specific gender position thing. How well does it mean if you play the older games with the assumption that Bridget then is still an egg? I would say that what winds up happening is a lot of people, it's still a little rough, because Bridget is an egg. I'm trying to think of it and trying to remember specifically the things, because like Bridget at that time is not really in tune with her gender, and she's like, I have to be more man. And so there are a lot of other things where it's like, oh, you know, Bridget is, a lot of other characters kind of approach it from that aspect too. Essentially speaking, with the older text, it becomes, it's kind of, I'm trying to think of like the way that I would describe it, because I'm trying to make sure that I'm being sensitive about the way that I'm talking about this.
Mankind knew that they cannot change society.
Okay, so for people who don't, I'm going to explain it like this. I'm going to explain Bridget's actual backstory, insofar as the way it's been portrayed in the game previously, and then I'll talk about where we got to it with Strive. The specific thing as far as Bridget was concerned in the older games where she debuted, the thing is that in the village where Bridget was born, twins were considered a bad omen, right? Bridget is transferred and has a twin. And as a result, relative to her assigned gender at birth, gotta get dash cancel. So yeah, as a result of that superstition and Bridget's assigned gender at birth, she was raised red, right? But her assumption, therefore, was that she had to, prove that she was her assigned gender at birth in actuality. Is essentially a lot of the way that it's handled in the older games. A lot of what she's doing is an attempt to kind of like prove that twins aren't bad luck, and also that, at least at that time, she was attempting to prove I'm not a girl because XYZ. The way that they then handle that in Strive is that Bridget does eventually become a successful bounty hunter exactly the way she wanted, but she then realizes this isn't really making me happy. And then she started like actually more deeply interrogating her feelings about her gender over the course of her arcade path in Guilty Gear Strive, and ultimately she decides, I thought that this would make me happy, I thought that this is the thing I wanted. It turns out it's not the thing that I wanted. I guess all things considered, I'm a girl after all. And that's basically the way that it resolves here. Reading the older games, and especially reading the way that they were translated into English, it can be a little rough. The way I'm going to put it is that you can tell that the game was localized. Like, you can tell that like X and X2 were localized in I'll say X2 because that's the game Bridget debuted. You can tell the X2 games were localized in the 2000s. What I'm going to say as far as that general part of it goes. There are parts of it where it's like, y'all, not ideal. But in terms of where they brought it to here, it definitely, they definitely came to a much healthier place. That's about as much as I want to like get into that part of it. Overall, and basically you can tell where people fall on the scale of trustworthy to chud with how they talk about Bridget even in that previous context. And as far as that goes, I'll leave that. But yeah, as far as Testament, to finish that thought, like Testament has basically always meant to be like past gender, insofar as like, after becoming a gear, like gender stopped mattering to them in any particularly meaningful way. And that was always the intention, but it didn't really come through a localization until this game, basically. But yeah, like, Testament, I'm glad Testament are with that, have more stress. Yeah, and that's why I was like, from a thematic standpoint, Guilty Gear's story has always even within like the context of some of that other stuff, like Testament's story, even in the older Guilty Gear games, is a lot about like kind of like making peace with a lot of the feelings of like betrayal and hurt in general, everything in their backstory.
Versus champion. Duel 1. Let's rock.
This Potemkin is having a really bad time. I fought them once before. It feels like they don't have the pressure. Like they got the Mega Fist stuff down a bit and things like that, but like a lot of the other things that Potemkin should be doing to be a threat, they don't really seem to know how to use them very well. It's unfortunate. But yeah, as far as how I feel about Jam overall, now that we're done with story stuff, I really like her a lot. I'm still kind of acclimating to one of the very specific things about her kit for this game. I'll be the first person to admit that like I still attempting to do a lot of her old Gatlings from the older Guilty Gear games that don't work in this game. Like I'll like mash punches. Like I'll try to mash punches and do like a crouching dust, and that doesn't work in this game. They were very explicit about like you do not get to do like 2P. You don't get to do like 2P, 2P, 2E or something like that. So like I have to reacclimate to like the fact that the normals are the pressure is a little different in this game than in the older games, but he still has that pressure. Oops. But yeah, the muscle memory from the older games has been a little tricky to deal with. Yep. I'm dead. But yeah, it has been a thing that I've had to adjust to as I've been playing, because I've still been attempting to do like less so now, partially because I haven't played like Guilty Gear Xrd in a while, so I have like less because I haven't been playing Guilty Gear Xrd for as long. Or when I say as long, I mean in the context of I've taken such a long break from it. Because I've taken such a long break from it, unlearning some of the muscle memory has not been as difficult. But I imagine if I go back to Xrd, I don't dislike plus R, but I don't like playing Jam and plus R either, because her combo structure in that game is really cool, but it also involves like doing other stuff. Oh, do you like power more than the ranked mode? I made a personal dedication to avoid playing ranked in fighting games for a while, because I noticed that the thing it was doing to my play was that I was starting to get really wrapped up in like trying to keep a hold of my rank more than like actually playing the game, you know, and that is an issue in the context of like actually improving and getting into a spot where like, you know, I'm actually picking up on things because I'm too busy. I'm too busy thinking about like, oh god, I can't this point, can't this point, can't this point, right? So it's not that I'm like never gonna play ranked ever again, but I think for me in particular, the main thing that I'm focusing on, especially with new characters, whenever I pick them up, is that I need games where I can like sit and play them and not think so much about like whether or not I'm going to like fuck up in some way and be able to like keep it together. I accidentally hit post slash. I meant to do Chokyaku there to make sure that 1, unburstable damage, 2, hard knockdown, 3, probably the kill from the damage of the wall break, but I messed up and I hit slash while I was doing that. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I was also fortunate enough to meet difficult rank up and down. Yeah. I haven't played it, so I don't know, for example, if they have some of the same sort of like kill. A hard knockdown. There we go. Yeah, I don't know if, for example, they do a lot of the stuff that like Street Fighter 6 does for people in lower ranks, where it's like asks for a good chunk of the ranks in Street Fighter 6, period, a few points, and yeah. So basically, then it sounds like they compressed a lot, and that's the thing, right? Like if I get, at least for me in particular, I was just sitting and thinking about it. Baker. Ooh, unfortunately, didn't get close enough for the close slash. I don't know if they would have had enough time to like. There we go. Gotcha. So yeah, and that part in particular, where it's like, oh yeah, the point gain and the point loss is very small, right? That kind of thing would incentivize me to like run myself right along the treadmill till my brain ran out, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Probably, if by some chance I would like more people in the community express an interest in it, or otherwise, I would probably be willing to like probably start doing like lobby room streams, just like let people like sit and like just get in long sets. If it ever became a thing that the community became interested enough in, if we got enough people to do that kind of thing, but you know. Nah. You're beating on this chop. Yeah. Sim player, with the Sim changes, I imagine Sim players kind of have to push it and pull it back a little bit. Be down for long sets. Yeah. Mostly because, like, for whatever it is I'm pursuing, I feel like at this particular point, I'm better off served by, like, just getting into sets with people. Baker. Oh, that's unfortunate. He came at me with the outcome. I don't think this will kill. So we'll wall break. I will get plus frames. Yeah. The fact that they gave her Ryutsu as a standalone thing is wild. So yeah, mostly I want to make sure that like we have enough people in case there's other people who want to like get into it. I could probably just do an open lobby and just let people like show up and do stuff. Honestly, the way that it used to be done and just see what happens. Like I would do that with DNF Duel sometimes to sort of just like allow people to show up even though DNF Duel is like closer to a Discord game at this point. It's not like an insult. It's just more so that like that community is very small. Here. That might be 50. Yeah. What a cat. Yeah. Like the thing about this sin in particular is that they have
Got a newcomer. Are you ready? Here comes Daredevil. Duel 1. Let's rock.
yeah. I probably couldn't live for a first to 100. In a more literal sense, but yeah, like sometimes I still have the endurance for like long matches. Like I think somebody once was watching and they're like, I don't know how you have the endurance to like play this many matches. And I'm like, develop skill, you know? Oh, good call. Ooh. Wait, not Graham. Hang on. I'll have to say. I don't think I can catch it. It's the ABBA. I'll explain ABBA's deal, after the set, probably. I could have done the other one. So ABBA's whole thing is that she is a homunculus who found a key called Paracelsus and basically said, "You're my husband now." And so ABBA's whole thing is that she loves Paracelsus dearly and does have a tendency to be very jealous around and about him. Modern romance, to be honest. Yeah. Oh, okay, so Sun didn't get caught by ads. I didn't say Granblue is. I said DNF is. Granblue is not a Discord fighter. DNF is. For the most part. Right? Dark Angel, can't slip under it. So that does explain. Yeah, her whole thing from a mechanical standpoint, is, yeah, basically speaking, she has her normal sort of like state or mode that she's in a lot. Which in this game is called Jealous Rage, and in the previous games is called Maroha mode. Where basically speaking, she goes from being a relatively slow-moving character to being very fast and frenetic and good at like scrambles and putting and like running your shit down. But in both older Guilty Gear games as well as this one, the main balance is that she only has Dark Angel. If you're not trying to challenge it with something that has invo, you don't want to fucking try to hit it. Or try to like go through it. You gotta go around it. I'm really lucky that they focused that, or I would have gotten punished. But yeah, so basically, in the older Guilty Gear games, basically Abba would have to land a command throw or use a blood pack in order to induce Maroha mode, which would then basically let her like mix you and just do all kinds of like really scary and incredibly painful unga bunga shit, basically. But if you, at least in the older games, Maroha mode would also like drain her health while she was in it, which basically made once again, yes. Then I'm slipping here. There we go. Yeah, the main thing with Maroha mode for Abba in the earlier Guilty Gear games is that while it's active, her health would drain. So you had to sort of like choose between, okay, I need to make sure that I'm in Maroha for my Kesher and all that, and then make sure that I transition out safely, so that I don't lose all my health. People who have not played Abba in older Guilty Gear games, essentially speaking, think of it as, what if I could do Nagoriyuki's Blood Rage pop whenever I felt like it, for a limited time, or if I landed Abba's command throw at the cost of, like, Blood Pop's health drain. I might have gotten hit by that. But yeah, like, Dark Angel in the older Guilty Gear games didn't have, like, the Robo-Kai head assist explosion, but in exchange, basically Dark Angel would last probably maybe, like, another half second longer than it does in this game. It would last like maybe a half second longer than it does in this game, and it would be incredibly obnoxious at chipping people out. Especially because Venom used to be able to put out many more billiard balls than he can in this game. His capacity for that is much reduced in this game. Understandably, because like it would be really obnoxious if they left him with the same abilities. So, the main thing that I've been kind of working on just now, you saw me do this and get under one of Venom's billiard balls. I talked about Bakuchu some last week when I was explaining the way that like the break it was the puffball. I have learned. Oops. That entire corner game was literally a fight between me attempting to tick throw and then attempting to not get tick thrown, which is fucking hilarious. And then me getting to the point where it's like, okay, you're going to attempt to avoid getting tick thrown, which means you're probably going to jump here. So I should jump to try to air you before you manage to get out of what I'm trying to set up here. It's very, very funny. But yeah, Venom basically, and Venom still can put out like a lot of pressure. Dark Angel has always been a pain in the ass. To sympathize with Sun some, especially over like, oh yeah, like I jumped that and I still got hit by it and the wall still broke. Yeah, that hitbox has always been a pain in the ass. Except, also the other thing is that in older Guilty Gears, I'll be back after the grocery store. Good luck with groceries. The thing about like older Guilty Gears also is that they didn't have wall breaks in those games, so if Venom threw a Dark Angel on you and you didn't have meter for faultless defense, you were eating 7 billion points of chip in the corner. Very, very painful. If you have burst, and you can burst out, obviously, but oh yeah, if you faultless defend against Dark Angel in the older games, yeah, it's noisy, especially Guilty Gear X2. I love Guilty Gear X2 a lot, but if you are easily overstimulated by sound, playing the older Guilty Gear games can be very overstimulating. And it's funny, even though Sun's going to the grocery store, I'm getting fucked up by an Eno anyway. Story of my life.
Duel 2. Let's rock.
Yeah, basically the part that makes Eno very difficult to fight is that you have to spend a lot of your time basically guessing between high-low mix-up while she's standing on the ground, which can be very annoying. With Ino's air dash, I keep getting this wrong all the time. Forgive me, please. Whenever Ino does a ground dash, she gets up off of the ground and goes into the air, which means that from a standing position, albeit with a little bit of wind-up, she has the ability to do air normals. So depending on... So, like that, right? Like y'all saw, she did a ground dash and was flying into the air. Which means it can be very difficult to kind of like approach her. In that sense. And then, as you see there, which shows the big tree, it is a low. So she has a way of like approaching on the ground with a low attack, or... Yeah, she's very... you have to get used to the fact that her ground dash takes the air, and that, like, there are specific ways to work around, like, things like work with her die kicks and things like that, but basically, once Ino makes you start to guess, once Ino has you in a position where she has made you start to guess what you're supposed to be doing, and if you guess wrongly during the high-low, you have a bad time. Even with the scaling, I think this should kill. Whew. So yeah, if you want to know more about Ino, especially in this game, I recommend talking to Mellow Mystical's son. He knows a lot about how to play her in this game, especially. Probably one of the strongest Ino players I know of in this game. Personally, I should say. Right? I actually got the parry! I very rarely get that, because it's like a 5-frame startup, so... It's very rare that I can get that safely without potentially getting my shit punched in. Oop! Ooh! Yes! I was waiting for her to do something like that. The only thing that's really hard about playing Jam in this game is she literally only has one reversal, and that's it. Jam does not have a non-metered reversal in this game, which essentially means that, like, if Jam is put in a defensive position and doesn't have, like, meter for super, or even like whatever the heck the pushing shield mechanic is called. Not faultless. Basically, if Jam doesn't have meter for faultless defense or counter shield, then she winds up being in a position where, from a defensive standpoint, she's dealing with a lot, and it's very difficult to kind of like get your ground back. Ah, damn it! I got the parry, but she she was above the hitbox for the follow-up. Unfortunate. At least it wasn't the other one. Unfortunate. Cheap flash faultless defense. So, one of the nuanced things about playing Jam in this game in particular, I don't know if this is true of the other Guilty Gear games, but I know it's true of this one. Whenever you use the faultless defense mechanic in this game, witch hat, guitar, boots, I was doomed. Yeah, Ino is a really sick character. If I had um if I had the wherewithal to learn how to play her, she would be very fun.
We've got a new
I think I would have a good time. But my brain is built to jam. That's just the way that it is. I was built to jam.
Mankind knew that they cannot change society. So instead of reflecting on
So
themselves,
yeah, like the main thing that makes jam
or have
at least a major and very deliberate kind of like check for her in this game is the fact that she has no meterless reversal. So you have to understand
泣かせたらごめんな
how to defend and where you can challenge your opponent's buttons as jam.
とか招いたね。チャラでもいいよ。
Jam versus Sin. Duel 1. Let's rock.
In order to like keep people off you. I could have done the other one, I also would have killed, but sometimes it's about making a statement. You gotta make sure.
Duel 2. Let's rock.
It's a little harder to do hand dash stuff against Sin. His best poking normal, you will in fact like go under it, but if Sin does elk hunt while you're trying to box you, it doesn't turn out well for you.
Duel 3. Let's rock.
On the high low. Good enough.
Slap.
寝てる場合じゃないよ。
If I had messed up and not done Ritsui there, I would
Knew that they
have
cannot
thrown
change
that
society.
last round away. And I'm very happy that I did not do that. God damn it. For this round anyway. that too early, maybe? No punch blast. And I got stamina. Block now. Traded. Maybe jump slash would have been the better call there, but. So this is the part that's difficult. This Sin is also pretty good at, even when they push a little hard on the stamina use, this Sin is still pretty good at making sure that they don't overextend. Very critically, it looks like they've taken to heart the changes with RTL and have not tried to even like accidentally or otherwise like hit me with like a reversal RTL. That would be very catastrophic for this young man at this time. Hawkmaker. Makes sense, because they stamina it out, so doing... Damn, I made the right call with the, they keep calling it Blitz Shield, even though that's not what it is. With the big push block, I made the right call, but then I didn't punish appropriately. Not the ideal spot to have done that. Even with that reduced close slash. Alright. That's painful, but that's fair. One of the things about Sin's close slash, that move where he kind of does the funny law womp that he hit to knock me out of the air up there, right? What's the word I'm looking for? The that particular button in the patch, it did get adjusted so that it's not supposed to hit as high up unless you're already comboing somebody, but it still reaches up, as you can see, it still reaches up high enough that if you're fucking around and like trying to like do jump bullshit like I am at the wrong
Mankind
spacing,
knew that they cannot
um,
change society. So instead of reflecting on the
that's how it goes. God forgive me for my sin kiss. Hi Otto. What are you up to now, you chaos criminal? Upfront. Yeah, this Sin has been pretty good. I'm watching Pop play One Piece, aka Pirate Officer. Fair. Last. Alright. Gotta stand up. Have a little bit of room to work now. Yeah, I gotta start doing that a little more often to try to like. I would like this to kill, but I'm not sure if it will because of the Roman cancel. He's at low health. Yeah, there we go. Thank goodness for a bunch of jam players that I've fought recently showing me that like I could do the run under after that in order to force a side switch and get the wall break. Yeah, this thing is a lot more careful about the wall, like the air dash after I caught them with one before. Ooh, I messed up the input. I saw the elk hunt coming and I'm like, what if I super? I messed up the input on the super so it didn't come out. It's my fault.
寝てる場合じゃないよ
Duel 1. Let's rock.
Also, hi, Sin. Jin. Oh, yeah. It's up in the corner. So yeah, up close, if you're trying to air somebody, Jan's better buttons for that are JS and JK and JS, like that. JH is still a really good button, as y'all just saw there. The big wheel spin, really good, but it is a little slow to start up, so you gotta, in situations where like you're trying to like air somebody close, JK and JS are better. And I was not in the habit of doing that as much as I should be. There's a plus. I didn't even do that. The other one. Nope. DK. Right there, jumping kick. So yeah, Jam's main thing and I talked about this previously, but sort of like to emphasize it, Jam's main thing in Guilty Gear has always been that while her buttons are very slow, sorry, not very slow, very short range, slow is literally the opposite of what I almost did fit. While Jan's buttons are very short range, they do enable her to work a lot of pressure. Oops.
Slap. Duel 2. Let's rock.
Nope, I meant to do puffball, but I messed up the inputs for what I was doing. Ooh, right as he got first back. Unfortunate. I was literally about to super and put him through the wall. But the timing was not with me.
Slap.
Yeah. I will admit that I have been fortunate every time I fought a Sin tonight. I'm very lucky in that Sin's only reversal is now his only reversal is Hawkbaker. That 2-stage move where he goes up with the flag and then comes down with the slam. That's his only reversal now. Sin used to have a reversal that had enough range if he hits you at certain spots to basically carry you coast to coast and get a wall break or near about so, depending on the situation. He still has that move, but it is not a full reversal anymore the way it used to be in the patch just before this one. Yep. Okay. No. Shoulder burst and got the wall break. I'm so sick nasty at this game when I don't fuck up my inputs. I'm so sick. I baited the burst and then got a killing wall break off of it. Yeah, that's Hawkbaker. That's his reversal. Yep, there it is again. Yep, up stomp. Oops. I meant to do that earlier. Fine enough. Made it work. Because the idea would have been to hit with the Ryujin, do the roaming cancel to get red roaming cancel, dash up, close slash, 6H, super, and that would have killed for sure, without me having to risk anything else happening.
Duel 1. Let's rock.
Ooh. Thought I had enough space to do the parry, but I saw the open. The only thing that this sin kind of runs into is that because they tend to spend their meter in other ways, part of it is because, like, I have a much more, I tend to have a much more, to a certain degree, conservative playstyle as a Sin, like when I'm playing a Sin. Just to make sure. Damn it, Sin!
寝てればいいじゃない
I can't even be upset though, because that really was quite possibly one of the sickest punishes. Huh!
Mankind knew that. Duel 1. Let's rock.
The burst. Especially right when I was using Mujin, because it denies me that one. Oh, huh. No, no, relax, relax. Yeah, it's not.
Slap. Duel 2. Let's rock.
Yeah, good decent low there, rather than a high. Yeah, I'm not really sure what it is for the Sin Kisk, not Cinzia in chat, but the Sin that I am playing against in the game right now. I'm not sure what it is, but they never seem to have meter. Well, they seem to save all their meter for like against stuff like that. It's fine, but it also means that, like, at least in terms of like big dick corner carry or big dick damage, they miss out on a lot of it because they're yeah, the scaling kept them alive, which is fair. Nah, you can't do that. It doesn't work. I know it's tempting, but Ryutsui, when it's carded, is way too fast. You can't do that. The reason why I'm getting all these level ups is because this match, put me into
Move on to the next war.
Celestial, which I've made it to a handful of times. So here's how this works. I don't know if this is still true with the way that it is now, but before Guilty Gear Strive implemented a proper ranked system, the tower was basically your equivalent of ranked in this game with tower floors. And then if you wanted to, like, just do matches casually, you'd go out into the open park and do that instead. Basically speaking, making it Celestial in the game prior to the introduction of like a proper ranked mode essentially meant that you were among, at least as far as online players go, among the cream of the crop there. And in particular, when you got into Celestial, you would have to win at least I think like your first time in or something. You'd have to win like 3 out of your first 5 matches there in order to stay there. I don't know how it works now, but essentially speaking, so if you want to know one of the reasons, I talked about this earlier, but I was like, you may remember before that I said, hey, the reason why, or at least when Sun was asking while he was still here before he went to get groceries, oh, you like power more than you like ranked? And the main thing I said when he asked that was mostly that it's like, I personally, at least recently, I've been choosing to stay away from ranked in fighting games, mostly because I have been wanting to make sure that I've been wanting to make sure that I am taking my time to focus on learning what I need to be learning for specific characters, or otherwise just like not getting too wrapped up in like rank chasing, right? And one of the reasons why that's important is because I remember there was a point in time where I was really, really hungry to get into Celestial, right? Back before ranks were a thing in Guilty Gear Strive, in the way that they are with the current rank mode. And it would crush me, because what would happen is I'd get Celestial, and then like an Agoriyuki or a Potemkin would basically grab me by the leg and fill me around a bunch and say, get your ass back to the 10th floor. And that's demoralizing. Especially because, in particular, I don't think... Yeah, in particular with the tower, when you're climbing floors in the tower, Strive does not tell you how close you are to either reaching a new floor in the tower or getting demoted from one. The game doesn't tell you directly. Basically, the most that you get is an alert. You get essentially an alert where it's like, hey, win this next match and your ranking increases. Lose this next match, your ranking decreases. That's about the best that you get. So that would be, it was incredibly stressful. Using that as like the rough equivalent of a ranking. ArcSys was trying something different, and I expect that they were, but like, very stressful. Yeah, so the fact that now it's not that I've never made it to Celestial before, and obviously I wasn't starting from ground zero or anything like that, because I think your power floor is shared amongst all your characters, even if your rank isn't. So like, because I'd been doing a lot of like, I'd already been doing a lot of like climbing up and down the rank tower from well before. So I wasn't starting from like the 4th or 5th floor. I was already on like the 7th or 8th, something like that. So then I managed to get Celestial with Jam. After essentially having spent a bunch of time saying I'm going to let go of worrying about I'm going to stop worrying about like trying to like get to Celestial and stay in Celestial. Now I'm here. I don't think they have you do qualifying matches anymore to stay in, as far as I'm aware. I don't remember if they still kick you out of Celestial after a certain period of time and make you have to get back in. I don't remember any of those changes, but I wasn't playing Strive in the seasons where they made the majority of the changes to the way the power works, so I don't really know that much about it. Oops. Let me go tell the homies though that I made it into Celestial at least.
Positive bonus.
Majesty is not the final destination. Even if you gain the wisdom of God, you'll get hungry anyway. But I wanna dream
Let me see.
out loud, wanna move on my way. I wanna grow for me, wanna be sweet and brave. My heart is hard, so I try hard.
So yeah, maybe we switch and we close out with some Street Fighter. I was thinking about DNF Duel, but I don't know if I'm ready to like relearn my combos in that game for Spectre, or even for F Fighter. So maybe we play Street Fighter 6 to close out, because it looks like Celestial has dried up a little bit. So I think probably maybe we switch. And we're probably not gonna stay. We're probably not gonna. So yeah, let's go over to Street Fighter. I am so. I don't know how to feel about getting Celestial at this particular juncture, only because I'm like, I don't really know. Because I've been able to at least get onto the floor before. I've just never been able to stay, because I've always been outclassed in that particular sense. I've always been outclassed whenever I've tried to stay, and that has always been like a little rough. So yeah, let's do some Street Fighter 6. Very, very different pace now, which is going to be the really funny part. I I may have theoretically shot my ability to actually do things correctly, because I might be thinking like I'm playing Shive still. Let's see. Who do I want to play today? Today and Elena day, because I know that Viper. Eh. If I seem like a little bit unenthused about like about the movie trailer, if anybody else is looking forward to it, I'm not going to yuck your yum. Mostly, I kind of checked out. Not because of like Cody Rhodes' guile or anything. It's really a little petty as to why I kind of checked out a little bit as far as the movie's concerned. But like, the most I'm going to say about it, and then I don't want to get into like discourse. I'm just like, I'm not necessarily like, oh, the quality of the movie looks like it's a good quality or blah 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 whatever. Like, people love the '90s Street Fighter live action movie, and that's cheesy as fuck, right? So my main issue is stuff like, again, incredibly petty sounding, on the face of it, I think, and I admit that. But like,
Another mission awaits.
what's the word I'm looking for? Don Hibiki is not a white guy. Don Hibiki is a Japanese dude who was born in Hong Kong, and they cast him with a white actor. And I was like, all right, y'all are very deeply unserious about this in a way that isn't interesting. So, all right, whatever. Y'all do what you want. I'm not about it. And that's pretty much where I stand on it. I'm not gonna say, oh, don't go watch it, but I'm like, my whole thing was just like, if that's the vibe that y'all are going with, I'm good. I will admit that, like, of all the people to play boxer, picking 50 Cent, I also get it, even if I don't necessarily agree with it. Oops. It wasn't high up enough for that. Oop. Nope. So the main thing is that, like, whenever I switch from like Street Fighter to whenever I switch from something like Gear to Street Fighter, gotta be a little more careful because it gets a little with Guilty Gear to a certain degree. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I lost a couple of trades. Yeah, that's fair. But this is why, like, I'm choosing like a casual match, for example, right? Like, if this would happen to me in a ranked match, I'd be like shitting myself because I'd be too busy thinking about like, oh no, I'm gonna be down, I'm gonna lose a boot, right? And here, I can afford to like sit down and actually kind of like reassess what it is that I'm doing in the match, and like, actually try to see what I can do to. They gave me that round just because for feel like they gave me those two just because they're gonna leave now. Yeah. I was like, they're walking forward like that and they're continuing to do it's like, alright, for whatever reason. I was just looking at, I'm like, okay. I guess that for whatever reason they were just like, I want to be done with this, which is fair, I guess, but who knows. Whatever. Their prerogative. If there's a Guilty Gear project I would like to see be done, I want an animated CD of John 2001. Butterfly and the Gale was a novel, maybe? Which one? I know Butterfly and the Gale was like a novel, so I might be misremembering. Alright. Oh, this is a modern jury. I need to be a little careful about my notes. For context, again, for people who don't play a lot of Street Fighter 6, with the modern control scheme, you are not required to do motion inputs or at least not in the same way for a lot of the for like a lot of the specials and stuff that you would like to do. So that basically means that if you jump a lot, for example, against a modern player, what usually winds up happening is you eat a ton of shit. Their reflexes are good enough because you'll get hit by like a DP. You'll be hit by a DP or whatever other reversal they have, if they have off of reflex a lot, so you have to jump a lot less. Or generally, it is advised to jump a lot. Yeah, like that, right? Like if I try to jump over, oops. That's a little bit. Yes. There we go. So yeah, the only unfortunate thing is that this jury, as a result, not as a result of playing modern, but this jury does not feel like they have a very strongly developed sense of what to do if people don't fall for yeah. So basically, like, yeah, basically, essentially speaking, as far as like them doing fireball pressure like that, probably the better answer is if I'm gonna jump, I should not say that. Yeah, or if I'm gonna jump forward, you notice I'm doing it. I'm trying to do it in spacings where Jerry has to like be positioned in a very specific way in order to actually get through. Good throw. Yeah, I'm cooked. Yeah. The jury understands the things that, which is why I was very explicit about not saying like, oh, because this jury's using modern, they blah blah blah. It's not that. But as you can see, right, they also, like with any other, yeah, the only other thing is that like stuff like that is a lot easier for a modern player to get away with because they don't have to worry about like correcting the input necessarily in order to like get that. Yeah, like getting in that way is going to be a lot harder. Jerry's dive kick is also never actually safe. You just have to like actually punish it quickly and correctly in order to force her off. This jury is also not as willing to do ODDP or even Super R1 as a reversal when they're knocked down. Not never, but they're not as willing. Which means that I get away with like this way more often than I should. Like they'll do it here, but this is like the second time I've done that attack. And dash forward. That's why I got hit by that. Yeah. Okay, I think I see it. Basically, they're willing to do that either when it's going to kill or when it's going to push me. So, if I'm a little bit more careful, there may be a situation where they'll attempt to do that as a kill. And then the thing that happens instead is that I punch their shit into trying. Yeah, I'm dead. So yeah, they got the pressure down, and the annoying part is also like fireballs in spots. I just need to jump. And so the part that I was struggling with was staying on the ground and trying to work around getting my shit pushed in. So that's why whenever people are like, modern is cheating, it's like, no, not really. Those are things that like another jury player using classic would have done. I just couldn't keep up. Or I just kind of didn't figure out a way around it. Good parry. Yeah, I did not have a spear. Basically, super would have been the main way to break through that if I had known it was coming. I didn't have enough health to drive impact back, even if I reacted in time. Fortunately. Nope, didn't want to do that. The hard thing about playing Cammy in particular is mostly that as a character, Cammy has no grounded overheads, no projectiles, so a lot of how you have to play her mostly involves having very good base control with normals, as well as having a very good strike throw, like a good plan for strike throw. Without that, essentially speaking, you get put in a position where that Hugo palette for Alex in matches. I don't know if it's on purpose, but how's Sweet Fighter? That's going fine. Yeah, ooh. Yeah, that would do it. So yeah, this Alex has a pretty good command of almost it feels like, and has a relatively solid defense. So like when you're playing as Cammy, the part that can be difficult is that like if you're not able to like check the other character fairly often, or if you like keep messing up like your spacing on or if you keep messing up like your spacing on your dive kicks and things like that, it can be very difficult to kind of open people up in that sense. But if the other person is either not very good at breaking throws, or you're able to kind of like enforce low throw, like basically with Cammy, essentially your strike throw mix up is essentially like base them well, pop them with a quick low, or throw them. Actually, it's the way that she runs her strike throw mix. And sometimes keeping it simple. Like this Alex has a pretty good sense of it. So it's one of those things where like it looks like they don't do well with like the kick throw setup stuff, but in order to like actually be able to enforce a strike throw, I have to be able to get in appropriate. Ooh. I know Flash Shop is plus, so I don't know for sure if I would have been able to actually drive impact it. I may not have been able to at all. So I don't know if that was just that I was unfortunate with timing or something else. But yeah, the main trick there, the reason why I didn't try for like a drive impact once Alex was burned out, the main thing to keep in mind is that people who've been playing Street Fighter 6 for a while, if they're burned out, they will not always be more jumpy near the corner, but it's usually a pretty safe bet. Mostly to specifically avoid getting caught by drive impact. Plus, yeah, raw hooligan is always a good risky pick. Thankfully, that hit him early enough in the actual. And then go to corner. That was a straight up reaction. I can't say that I was expecting the drive impact. I just saw it coming out while I was walking, and I just DI'd back. So that was a reaction. It was not a read. But I made it. Like, that's always the hard. So yeah, that's the hard part. Like, if I was playing as Elena, there's probably a point at which I would have done like an overhead or two, specifically to like make the lows a little bit harder to anticipate. Ooh, I tried to carry that and I got fucked up. That was very risky on my part to do that there. Huh. Yeah. Okay, so last time the only reason why I was able to drive impact that is because I was asleep. Maybe a thing that works constantly. I know if he charges his standing heavy punch, for example, like you can't DI that. Like you DI Alex standing like the charge version of his stand heavy punch, and you basically he just cancels it with drive impact and DIs you back. Oh. Got it. Yeah. So midway through that, Alex did actually manage to shift into his prowler. In this game specifically, Alex has a specific stance called prowler stance that he can go into off of certain normals and certain moves, where he crouches down a little bit, and it enables him to use moves like his air stampede and his slash elbow, which can be used to help close distance, or as you saw, set him up for some really sick combos as long as you don't drop in the middle.
Beginning operation.
Okay, modern Honda. This is always fun, by which I mean it does give me some anxiety. So Honda does have a reversal move. So his sumo headbutt that you see there, right? Essentially speaking, if Honda does it raw, that plus 5 plus. Yeah, that's fair. Basically, if Honda does the OD version of his headbutt, it acts as a combat reversal. Like that. But if you block it, it's free. Traditionally, the best way to deal with regular headbutt like that, if you can perfect parry it, that's the best option for you to take. If you can't perfect parry it, then just parrying it at all is better, because otherwise you just eat a ton of dive damage. It's gonna hurt, but not as much as if they were playing on Classic. Modern characters do get a slight damage reduction, I think, in their overall damage as compared to not using it, but the trade-off is that, again, motions are not nearly as complicated like supers and other stuff like that. Also, you can't drive impact. You should. It's a better way to, like, the situations in which you can like actually get away with like the situations which you can manage to get away with jive impacting a headbutt are very few and far between. Unfortunately for them, they did drive rush really close. There was a period of time when you drive rush where you cannot, where you can't block. That's plus. Careful, I've got meter, but. So the good thing about headbutt is that basically, unless you see Honda either walking back or couching, yeah. Maybe if I hadn't filmed the jab, I might have been able to block that. You can't air to air that much. Yeah, modern Honda is a pain to fight most of the kind of stuff. It's not an impossible fight by any means. It's just that you have to like, deal with Honda doing Honda things. Yeah. Ass. So the main thing with Honda, the OD 100 hand slap is plus. You shouldn't press a button after that. Aside from that, Butt Stomp, you anti-airing it by trying to air it is not impossible, but if you try to do it too close, you get hit by the hitbox that happens when he's going up, and it can be very difficult to kind of contest it that way. The other thing mostly is that you gotta try to aim the perfect parry, headbutt, because if you see them, it just does them wrong. Luckily, I checked for the jab. Oops. Yeah. Alright, just barely made it. If they done Knee Press Nightmare, they didn't Super Art 1 on Wake Up, I would have eaten shit there, basically. So yeah, again, for people who have not been here in a stream where I played it against Bison, basically the thing about Bison is that he moves very slowly, or Dictator, I should say. Basically, he moves very slowly, but the trade-off for that is that, especially once he's like, if he's managed to like knee press you at the appropriate spacings and things like that, or like if he does double knee press at the appropriate spacings, or otherwise pulls off other moves at positions where he is able to enforce mix with some of his heavier, like if he makes you block some of his heavier buttons and he gets the plus, you're in a situation where you then have to basically work against the fact that his normal's fully incredibly hard. It can be very difficult to kind of like push him off. Like if you look at my drive gauge underneath my health bar, you'll see that like literally just blocking, aside from eating counter hits, a lot of it is that just like blocking him, a ton of that real estate. Very very good. The main thing is that the main thing for Bison is that he as far as defensive options goes, he only has supers and system mechanics, and that's it. He doesn't have meterless reversal at all, which is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that like it's not like a, oh, your character is shit if you don't have like DP or something, but it does basically mean that like if you're trying to defend as Bison, you either need to have a really good understanding of like you need to have like a really good understanding of the system mechanics. You need to have a really good understanding of the system mechanics, or you have to burn a meter if you're trying to defend yourself. Like that, right? Like, so, like, a lot of Bison players, not all, and it depends on the Bison. A lot of them are more willing to, like, spend meter on, like, a drive reversal than they are meter on, like, super or something. Yeah, and so while Bison moves slow as far as his regular movement is concerned, if he's using like Drive Rush or Head Stomp or other such things, he can change his position very quickly, and especially with things like Drive Rush, he can use that as a pretext to set up more aggressive buttons. Yep, I was watching for air and I got hit by the slide. like y'all saw, like even when I had the drive, part of it was also that I was like using my drive gauge a little carelessly, a little frivolously. But the other part of it is just that Bison just does a lot of damage to drive through your drive meter, even as you're blocking it. So it's one of those things where like block a lot of what he has to do, you wind up in a situation where Night Steppy, you wind up in a situation where if he especially manages to get like the drop on you in terms of like other stuff, you don't have a good time. It becomes very unpleasant because then it's like, all right, he has worn down your drive gauge by a lot, and all it really takes for him now is enough pressure in other ways, and you kind of eat shit. Very, very unpleasant. Now burn. Yeah, and see, that command jump that he does into that. The answer for a lot of people is like, oh yeah, I'll just anti-air it, which makes sense. It's just that you then have to be very deliberate about how you spiral around. Over. Ooh, if I reacted, I might have been able to walk in it. Maybe. Basically, if I can bait one of those drive reversals at some point, and properly punish it, I would be very happy. But that means that Bison eats a shit ton of damage. Good, use the slide. Did call out the drive in. I'm very happy. The only thing I would like to be able to kind of like get a little more consistently is anti-airs from the jump against jump-ins, but that's a little tricky sometimes if you're not looking for it. And especially because Bison has a slide, that can also make it very difficult to try to The thing I haven't been very fortunate about is that because this Bison does not like spend meter on things like knee press, I don't know if they disconnected specifically because they were getting their shit pushed in or because of something else, but either way I'm going to block them. IDK. We could have disconnected. They could have rage quit. I'm not really sure. Like, it's one of those things where if the vibe is like I think you rage quit on me, then yes, I'll block you. Because like why I don't have any interest in fighting people who do that kind of shit. It's really weak. And kind of annoys me. I don't like that.
Come on. No mercy for you.
They need to not. Let me not present dive kicks. I respect that you tried it, Ken, but no. Dive kicks, okay. Plus. God, too slow. Slowing down a little bit, huh? So, standing light punch into standing light kick is called, right? If I press those buttons too fast, it doesn't combo. I have to do a slight delay in order for them to combo correctly. I'm 5. Yeah, I say 3. And show you again. Oh, that's unfortunate. Probably if I hadn't pushed my luck there, I might have been able to do something, but not sure. There we go. Give me that. Now I'm wondering. Show you. No. Ah. So yeah, Ken's Hadouken is not as good as a general projectile, but as good as a pressure tool, especially at that distance that where Ken did it. Pretty good. If I tried to check with another button, I might have had time to respond, but not sure. Maybe. I've been punching too much on the butter sticks. I got relaxed. That jive gauge. Not that. What it is right now makes me think. Ooh, that was good. I have to be a little careful because if Ken does that dash into that long toe kick, if this Ken is awake, then with 3 super meters, I will eat shit if I try to drive impact it. So I need to be very careful. They might know to do it, but they might not. I don't want to take the chance. Like if I try to drive impact that and they're on the ball, they might cancel into Super R3 and kind of just ruin my shit for trying. I'd really rather not push my luck. Oh, that was so close. If I had gotten jittery, thankfully I had enough health left that even while I was in burnout, that shit wouldn't have killed me. And I kept it cool and I didn't mash in between the hits, so I'm okay. There we go. And I managed to space that dive kick really well, which is very helpful. Basically speaking, one of the things that, if you're looking to become really strong as a Cammy player, mastering the spacing of your dive kicks is very important, right? You have to be careful not to put that in too much like I am. But the main thing about a well-spaced dive kick is that it allows you to get over people throwing lows at you, and if you do it right, allows you some other forms of pressure that can be very, very devastating to deal with as a defender. Let's see if that hit. Yeah. Fortunately, the Ken is completely gassed. A Ken who is burned out and has no super meter, you are free for as much Oki as you want if you manage to knock them down. In this game, if Ryu or Ken, if they are out of super meter and they're in burnout, if you get a knockdown, just stay on them. There's no reason to be afraid because they have no way of pushing you off. They have no way of pushing you off like, at all. They kind of just eat shit. Which is true of a lot of other characters who only have true a lot of characters in this game, but yeah, when Honda's crouching like this, or otherwise kind of like chill, means either he's crouching a butt stomp or yeah, and that's the annoying part. Like people who do nothing but like spam sumo squash, it's not unbeatable, but you have to spend a lot of time like thinking about the approach. Honda's not completely defenseless here. As y'all can see, the other thing about Honda is that his normals are really fucking big. So it's one of those things where I hate one and dones. I'm trying to be careful to not be the old me who gets really annoyed by that kind of stuff. But like sometimes if somebody gets a one and done with a strategy where it's like you feel like you could have adapted, that makes it sting worse usually. Because you're like, if you let me have the set, I might have been able to figure it out. And it's like, no, you don't get to have that. And I'm like, run the set though. That's me. I tend to feel that way about this kind of thing. But I also acknowledge that sometimes that can lead to me being toxic as fuck in ways that I try not to be anymore. Oh, good jump. Unfortunately, not enough. Zangief is still very scary. Light? Yeah, it was light SPD. Fair. But they didn't put out a button in time. It's stuck out of the drive. It's unfortunate. Yeah, fair. Yeah, side switch, back to neutral. No, I got that. Honestly, I should have just done a spiral arrow at the first cancel normal that I had there. Risk anything. Good lariat. Light SPD. If you're wondering how I can tell what version of Pile Driver Zangief is using, just from looking, the stronger the version, the higher he goes up in the air, and the more damage he takes.
Cammy wins! Round 1.
Basically, if Zangief goes like flying really high into the air, oops, like that, that's heavy SPD. The main reason why Zangief was using light for a lot of what he was doing before is mostly because heavy has really bad range, and then yeah, the OD SPD is very hard. OD SPD cracks your legs. It's very painful. Heavy. Yeah. Whew. Basically, the reason why I jumped both of those times is because Zangief had 3 super meters. When Zangief has 3 super meters, either his super art 3 or his critical art, basically the most damaging super in the game, you cannot escape it if you are not unthrowable before the flash comes in. So if you jump him, and if you jump against him as he's getting up, and then he does it while he's getting up, you're safe, for example. We have to be jumping before the super flash. If you're not jumping before the super flash, you eat shit. it is extremely unpleasant to get caught by Zangief Super Art 3 or Critical Art. And if you are in a situation where you are maybe at around like 60% health or less, give or take, and it's match point for Zangief, you knock him down and you approach him carelessly, and you're just like, whatever. If that Zangief was turning in that 720 input, and you weren't jumping or backdashing or otherwise out of the way of the throw, you eat shit. You eat a ton of damage to your health, and you probably die. Especially if it's like a punish counter or some shit. You don't want to be in a position where you get hit by Zangief Super Art 3 when he's using it to like take back the round from you. You don't want that. It's not fun. If your response to me saying all of that is, it sounds like you know that very well. Yes. It has happened to me more than once. It has happened to a lot of people that have played against the Zangief in this game more than once. However, the good news is that of all of the Super Arts in this, of all of the Super Art 3s in this game that are also command throws, Zangief's is the only one that works like that. So like Manon and Lily, if you... Ooh, ouch. So yeah, Manon and Lily also have Super Art 3s and Critical Arts that are command grabs. If you see the flash and you're not like already in the middle of an attack or something, you can jump afterward and you're fine. Enough health that if it comes out, I'll be okay. I would still prefer not to get caught by it because psychological damage is profound. You really do not want to get caught by... I don't know why they didn't do it, but like they haven't presented it at all. But Zangief players are also very good at deliberately not presenting it as an option until the precise moment where they can do it specifically to make you piss yourself. I need to pay the ground game first. I'm starting to jump. Doing check on the ground like. No, I don't know. The Zangief feels like they got scrambled pretty bad. Kami's classic win pose. Certain characters in this game, if they're, especially if they're legacy characters, if you manage to get a perfect with them, they will do one of their legacy win poses or a variant on it. Not every character. For some characters, it's one of their other win poses. But like, Finley does her very famous "I did it." If she gets a perfect, Kami does her back turn peace sign, which is from Street Fighter 2. Yeah, I don't know why the Zangief never presented. I'll take the fire. I don't know why the Zangief never tried to present critical art. I assume because they saw me jumping it the first couple times, and either they weren't confident in pulling it off at a moment where I would fuck up and get caught, or something else. We are going to have ads soon, but I also need to use the restroom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go use the restroom real quick, and we're also at about 3 hours anyway. I'm going to use the restroom, and I'll probably let ads play through. So I'm going to put us on BRB for an extra long time until ads start up. They should be starting. Well, let me take a look actually. How long do we have till ads start? I shouldn't make things up. Ads start at 9:09. We have 6 minutes. Okay, so actually we can wrap. We can wrap up. Okay, so thank y'all for coming by. I deeply appreciate it. Um, as for things where you can like follow me and chill out and do stuff if you feel like it, my links are over here. I'm gonna be trying to get long form posts up on something that's not NeoCities or Medium pretty soon. YouTube for VODs, Ko-Fi for support, Throne for stream gifts, Card for other links. I'm mostly on Blue Sky via Black Sky. If you want to know more about the worker-owned game studio that I helped co-found, our site is in progress, but you can go play our game over on our itch page. If you want to join my personal Discord, here's the link for that. Yada. Especially after some of the discourse I've seen around that word, mostly from white people who don't know better. I am honored. I don't know. I'm honored. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm honored. Thank you, Yato. Um, if I truly have earned unk status, then all right, I'm here for it. I respect it. Let's see who I can raid before we get caught by ads. Um, I feel like I want to drop y'all off with J Rock, Prez, Chris One, and Bobby because they're all for people who like Magic the Gathering. We could go hang out and just like watch them chill and do that, or maybe I'll go drop us off one other spot because I know that maybe not everybody here is too deep into Magic like that. So I'll go lurk for them. But let's see, who can we go hang out with? Keep the vibes right. We haven't been to Data Dave in a while. We're gonna go hang out with Data Dave. The reason why we're gonna go hang out with Data Dave is because I will recommend that you go hang out with J Rock the God. Because right now he's streaming Magic stuff. If you're into that, I realize that there's somebody who I haven't gotten to raid in a while that I should raid. His name's Data Dave. Data Dave is a voice actor and variety streamer. He's generally pretty chill. The reason why we're gonna go raid Data Dave is because currently he is playing Mega Man Star Force Legacy Collection. I think currently on the first game right now, by the look of it. And we love us Mega Man Battle Network and Mega Man Star Force in this house. And I haven't been by Dave in a while. I have been by J Rock recently. So let's go. We're gonna go give Data Dave some love. That's our raid message. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask if you go outside, be excellent to each other, but not the bigots, racist, turfs, sexist, anti-queer folks, or fascists. Remember, Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights, reproductive rights are human rights. Palestine, Sudan, the Congo, New Caledonia, and Haiti must all be free. None of us free to all free. Look out for each other, take care of each other, do the little things that you can to do that. That's kind of the part that matters. So, all that said, and all that done, yeah, we're gonna go hang out with Dave. Next streams will be this Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, playing some more custom Robo Battle Revolution. Next Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time is more Fighting Friday streams. I may cut us with maybe I'll do DNF Duel and Strive next week. I want to try to like make sure that I'm not stuck on just Street Fighter 6 and Strive. Anyway, that's all I've got. Let's go hang out with Dave. Catch y'all later. Deuces.